Wales at Work, the business programme with Brian Meakin on BBC Radio Wales.
So first, the widely anticipated cut in interest rates came today. It's gone down from 0.5% to 0.25%, and the Bank of England signalled that further reductions could be on the way if the economy gets worse. The reduction helps borrowers but hurts savers. Some may turn to other ways to get a better return on their money, with peer-to-peer lending an increasingly popular route. But there are warnings, including from Andrew Bailey, the new chief executive of the watchdog, the Financial Conduct Authority, that the risks involved are not being fully explained in many cases. Well, Roger Gewolb is from the Cardiff-based Campaign for Fair Finance, and Rob Warlow is a business finance consultant. Hello to you both.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Rob, first of all, let's talk to you. Some of the things that have been said here by Andrew Bailey, he talked about being pretty worried about the way peer-to-peer lending is sold to customers. He mentioned in some cases like the lending practices of Northern Rock. I mean, that must be quite a concern.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's taken it to the extreme. I mean, our business, we place a lot of finance requests with peer-to-peer platforms, and we do a lot of due diligence ourselves before we place the deals with these platforms. And there is a large element of due diligence that does go on. But there's a distinction here between investing in equity crowdfunding and also debt-based. The equity side, definitely massively high risk. How can you do due diligence on an idea? And it's there where the failure rates have yet to be tested. But if you're putting money on the debt side, you're investing in businesses that have typically been going 2-3 years or more, do have a trading track record. And so the level of due diligence there, whilst important, and the risk is slightly less.
Roger, if you can tell me, what do you think about that? Do you think enough is being done ultimately to, make sure that people know what they're getting themselves into?
Well, certainly I think they don't. I think it has to be broken into 3 areas. Rob has mentioned 2. There's people like you and me who are lending their money through these platforms to businesses as loans. There are people who are also giving businesses money as equity investments, risk investments. Now, in both of those cases, I think it's a different kettle of fish. There's a lot of warnings. People, I think, probably know more about what they're getting into. It's the third category that concerns the campaign. That is the most. That is when Andrew Bailey is talking about Northern Rock. He's talking about peer-to-peer lending, where these platforms are competing for bank deposits, and there we certainly don't have enough protection.
Rob, what do you think about that?
At the end of the day, we've got individuals who are looking for obviously the best return on their funds. Yes, we're starting to see institutions starting to come into the marketplace because obviously they're looking for a best return on their investments as well. So yes, the SEA is right to make sure that what is a growing sector is regulated correctly, so that everybody understands the risk from institutional side and also individuals as well. We're starting to see actually individuals starting to be slightly squeezed out of the peer-to-peer market as the institutions come in. But it's interesting to see now where the economy is going as to exactly how the institutional investors will view continued involvement in the P2P market.
Roger, particularly now, when savers are seeing these cuts coming, Bank of England saying further reductions could be on the way ultimately, some people will be looking around ultimately to see whether and where they can get a better return.
Yes, absolutely. It's human nature. It's quite justified. But one has to look at the fact that these loans are unprotected. So if you were considering putting your money in a bank at, Lord knows what you'd get today, 0.00 something percent, I don't know, and instead one of these peer-to-peer platforms is offering you 5, 6, 7%, of course it's extremely tempting. But one needs to bear in mind that you're lending money to businesses and to people that you know nothing about. The platform isn't taking any risk. It's really just acting as a middleman. And if something goes wrong and the customer, who may, for all you know, have lied about his ability to repay, cannot repay, or something happens and the platform cannot repay, you've got no protection. Whereas in the bank, you get your money back up to £75,000.
Rob, pick up on that protection point, because that is incredibly important, isn't it? And also these new ISA schemes that are coming out that are also a slightly different model.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, there is no protection where investment peer-to-peer is concerned. Bank deposits are protected by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. One point about putting money in, though, about the due diligence side, there are types of investments with the likes of Funding Circle and Funding Empire and Funding Knight where you do pick where you want to put your money. So you do have a chance to do your due diligence. You get other ones then like Zopa and RateSetter where it's a pooled investment where your money is going in blind. I think that's probably where they're looking at, is that an individual putting money there doesn't really know which business is going in.
That's perfect. Thank you very much, Roger Gewolb and Rob Warlow.